Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Why am I not lighting up? What the hell? Maybe I am lighting up and I'm just crazy. I am. I am. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Give me one quick second. I prematurely went off. All right. Sorry. You know I can't type and yeah. So anyways, uh dead air, slow, dead air, blah blah blah. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing great. Shit happens. Anyways, so yeah, let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So we have a SpaceX launch. I don't think I'm going to stream again tonight. Um, I don't think we're going to do the normal show. We're kind of Brian and I are working on this transition thing. Um, yeah, we're transitioning, and I think we might have a guest or two. So I don't think I'll stream our normal Friday hangout after this. Frankly, I'm tired, fucking tired. Um, so with that being said, we're at least going to take in this. We have some interesting news. Uh, there's a clock up on my screen. There's a reason for that. We'll see if anybody joins me in proof simulation theory. But while we're waiting for that, look at this. Look at this. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm absolutely stoked. They finally have the second flight test of the Starship on SpaceX's official website. That means we're getting even closer. We're still waiting on that very important fish that is going to Brian is going white. He could. He could. He certainly could. I mean, we'll see. Maybe. Maybe. I thought yeah, no, it's back, so I can extra hours sleep. Why would I be tired at all? Um But anyways, this is huge news. So the fish must not be a problem, or they got some indication that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Survey might be done with them. We don't have an official launch date for the second flight test of the Starship, um, but could launch as soon as mid-November, pending regulatory approval. They've been sitting here pending regulatory approval for a few months now, so they must have some indication that it's almost complete. I would find it hard to believe that they are just putting it up there for the hell of it. It could be a pressure campaign to pressure the Fish and Wildlife Survey as well as the FAA into giving them a launch license. Um, but that is all we're waiting on is a newly discovered fish that required an extensive reevaluation of the entire area around Boca Chica, Texas, South Padre Island, because of this one specific fish. As you can see, the area is very, very much so kind of a wetland. So I could see that. Um, I wonder if it's easy to find. It might not be easy to find, but I was going to say I could certainly show you guys the area. I got to try and find the video, and we know how wonderful that would be if I could actually find the area or actually find the video that I took. It's somewhere. I think it's on my. Is it on my channel? That would probably be the best case scenarios if it was on my channel. But who the hell's to know if it is or not? There's the bridge. Stay. it doesn't appear, it does not appear that it is there. So, shit happens. Maybe I'll find it later and we'll throw it up. Yes. The climate change it can't. Yes. I'll find that video and show you guys around. Boca. I've been there a couple times. It's very much so like the pictures. There's a bunch of inlands, a bunch of wetlands, inlets and wetlands. And it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, you know what? I probably have pictures of it. Let me pull it up on it. Let me try and do something I know I can't do. I'm going to try and look for a file on one side while I'm reading something on the other side. This is not going to go well, but I'm trying it for you guys. Trying it for you guys. Plus the fact that we have a little bit of time. So, you know, that sometimes plays into our favor. But where would I have saved it? See, the problem is I don't save shit where one would normally save things. Like it's somewhere. Like I'm absolutely certain that it is somewhere. The question is where. And I understand that I've read a lot of this article while I'm looking. I understand that. But it's got to be somewhere. It'd be weird if it was nowhere. And then so you're like, "Huh. Well, why don't you just search for something? Wouldn't it be where you were, what you were looking at?" I also just randomly name shit. So that's not a winning strategy either. Holy shit. Found it. So, yes, I'm very, very poorly managed. All right, so we didn't read any of that, but I'm okay with it. So, the world exploded. I doing two computer things at once. I know. We saw how far I got with that though. So this is Starship. So this is the road, and there's a video somewhere. I just don't know where the hell the video's at. So on this side of it, there's a beach. There's a really nice beach. Hey, what's up, Fast? What's up, Kitty? So there's a really nice beach on the side of it, and it is down a road that is so unassuming that you'd have no idea what the hell is even down there. So there's Cranezilla. This is the orbital launch mount that it completely blew apart. It's the last time that's when these pictures are from. And this is before they had a test flight. So this is the one that they blew apart, and it blew chunks onto cars and damaged vehicles and stuff all over South Padre Island. This is more accurate picture. So this is the high bay. This is the mid bay. So this is where they stack them. So you can see that right here is a stack of a Starship. And it's very much just like this. There's kind of some water around. There's a lot of sand. Your typical oceanside area. But that was in the process of being built when I was down there. A little bit about this rocket. This is a mass simulator. So they don't put the cone and all the bullshit and everything else on top. They just put a huge block of steel on top of it. And that's a mass simulators for different testing. They use it for cryo testing, that kind of thing. This is the nose cone for the lunar Starship, Artemis 3, that should be launching in the next year or 2 years. That's the manufacturing facility for everything that's not stacked. Literally just a kind of a tent out in the middle of nowhere. I guess there is literally zero fucking landscape pictures. That's the Deep Space Radar Network. Oh, there we go. So as you can see, once again, here's the launch site. Behind me is that building facility that you see And you got a lot of this kind of marshy wetlands area. So it's so pretty. There's Starhopper. That was their first test vehicle. Starhopper. They build it up pretty well. They've done a good job building up and sinking piles, but then again, the last launch mount did explode all over. Um, so yeah, there's that's kind of what's going on at Starbase, Texas, and so yeah, that kind of marshy. It could be something out. Blah blah blah. I did. I thought the Great Oz was coming over, but he's still talking. All right, so back to this. So really excited. This one, I will drop everything in my life to cover because this is huge. So I'll be watching this like crazy. Lessons learned, upgrades to both vehicle and ground infrastructure, and the possibility of success of future flights. The second flight test will debut a hot stage separation system with the new TVC or electronic thrust vector control system for the super heavy Raptor engines, and that's for essentially steering. In addition to reinforcements, the pad foundation and a water-cooled steel flame deflector. Yeah, it was something pretty ridiculous. I was actually there when they were building the original pad, and the first one, the first iteration did crumble back when we were just testing ships, not even testing full stacks. Um, rockets rockets are hard, and they produce a lot of thrust. They produce a lot of sound and a lot of heat energy, and it makes it really difficult, incredibly difficult, uh, to build something that's effective. So, um, oh, they haven't linked the new one yet. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Uh, so this is going to be huge. The water cooled steel flame deflector. What's up, Wink Chef Saburi? Good eye, mate. I appreciate it. Hey, just Joy. What's up, Wolfram? Oh shit, the emus are taking over. So they're going to use this water cooled flame deflector, and this is what you saw with the Apollo program. You saw this with the space shuttle program. It was really kind of odd that they didn't have a flame deflector in SpaceX's programming notes because it just seems like such a no-brainer. So one of the things that we have to contend with that people often overlook is the vibration. You have this big shaking rocket with all this power, and it can vibrate things apart. So the water helps suppress the sound and keep that down, so you don't have something like that. So, um, yeah, I think it's incredibly important to have, I think it's incredibly important to have that kind of system in place, and I don't know why SpaceX thought. Well, I understand why SpaceX. So the whole thought behind SpaceX not putting in a flame trench is because when they're landing on the moon or Mars, they want to be able to land and take off without infrastructure. Well, to do that, you have to build the location to be able to utilize the systems that you have. Um, so I get why they did it. It just was kind of idiotic. So, uh, this is always beautiful. This is the great big tall starship. Actually, shit, I didn't even need my pictures. I could have just showed you this. So here's that facility that I showed you close up. Here's the road right here that takes you back to Brownsville. Um, And this is kind of the inlet, and this is where the Fish and Wildlife Survey was looking for that elusive fish, that big fish. So that's a look down. These black things are heat tiles. Another thing he said he wasn't going to get into, but decided, hey, they're there for a reason for spaceflight. We're probably going to need some. So back to this. The development approach has been basis for all SpaceX major innovative achievements, including Falcon, Dragon, Starlink. Recursive improvement is essential as we work to build a fully reusable transportation system capable of carrying both crew and cargo to Earth orbit to help humanity return to the moon and ultimately travel to Mars and beyond. This is a little bit more of a protracted fill when we get into this one. And again, we're here for the Starlink mission this evening. I'm just kind of killing some time while we're waiting. Starlink mission is targeted for 8:37 p.m. SpaceX's coverage won't begin until 8:32. So we'll go through the flight countdown and the flight profile as we get into that. This was just breaking, so I wanted to make mention of it. So if you've watched my program before, you know that 2 hours for propellant load is huge. That's a lot more than we're used to. We usually go at about 38 minutes. So that just reflects the amount and volume of fuel that we'll actually be putting on this big rocket. And then after we get to go, after they start charging the lines, then we have an hour and 37 minutes. So an hour and 37 minutes before liftoff, they start with the liquid oxygen. This rocket utilizes a new technology in liquid methane, so CH4. So it's going to use methalox is what they call it. So it'll be liquid methane, liquid oxygen, both super cooled. And it's closed cycle engine, so they're going to pre-burn them. But that's all into... Oh, they've been doing it to me all kinds. Like every time I start growing, bro, they just nuke everything. It's so ridiculous. Like many of the other creators, and you don't want to hear me bitch about it, but like many of the other creators, it's almost not worth it anymore. Like I enjoy Rumble a lot more. Rumble has its downsides, but it's almost not worth it to be on YouTube anymore because of the way that they're playing their games. So, but I appreciate you subbing back. They are. So also we have two completely different ships. So we have that booster, and then we have the ship on top of it. So the ship is standalone, and that's what we've seen fly and land so far. This will be the full stack. Our first full stack went incredibly poorly. Like we got good ascent, and to see something that huge going up is pretty impressive. But beyond that, we didn't get much of anything. So again, if you're familiar with our countdowns, a 7-minute engine chill is normal for the Merlin engines on the Falcon 9. The Raptors start chilling at 19 minutes, 40 seconds. So that's obviously a little bit different too. There's a hell of a lot more. So there are 6 engines on the ship, 3 vacuum optimized engines, 3 sea level engines, which if Elon, if you're listening, baby, like you don't need those sea level engines on the ship. Like we can get away with just those 3 MVACs. Well, I guess these are RVACs, but yeah, we can hey Scad. Hope you're feeling better. What's up, Dance? So Elon, if you're listening, I think you can drop off a ton of weight and complexity if you just get rid of those sea levels. You're never going to standalone launch Starship, just the ship. It's always going to be part of the system because you can't get it to orbit without it. So Um, just my opinion. Elon, my advice is free, but you could call me, brother. Like, I'd appreciate that. That'd be payment enough. From SpaceX 19 minutes ago, propellant load has begun for tonight's launch of 23 Starlink satellites from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Taking a look at systems and weather, everything looks great. So there was an earlier launch window, 6:30. They didn't even entertain it. I think there was a weather issue. Yeah, and there's our report from the ground. Beautiful, clear night tonight. So we got good weather. That's always good. I don't even care that much. I'd take the phone call from Elon. Like that's payment enough for me, sir. uh, Flame deflector activation. So just before that 10-second mark, they're gonna hit what's essentially a deluge system. So they pour just enormous amounts of water in. And that not only makes it so the vibrations are not as strong to shake apart the launch pad and the ship, it also obviously cools the area, and allows for a better flight. So I would it would be pretty incredible, but Raptor ignition sequence. So again, they're lighting 27 engines, and I think that number actually went up. Let me check. I think that number went up. Uh, oh no, I don't want that. I could be right. RVAC. 6. No, that's. I think it's 33. Okay, yeah. So I know it was 27 at early development, but uh, I understand Boca is basically on a beach, but I don't think the upside down shower head will be enough. That's a ton of energy coming from that booster. Well, that's really the first step. There's going to be a lot of development in that process, uh, and we'll see. But tonight is a Falcon 9. We just got this news. Well, I just got this news that um they're preparing for mid-November for Starship. So the second test launch of Starship. So we're just going through the Starship uh, system right now. So super heavy launch, ascent, hot stage. So they're basically going to start that. They're going to start the Raptors on the Starship itself, while there's still thrust coming from the booster, and that's their difference. That's how they think they're going to do this. We'll see that same flip maneuver that we see with the Falcon 9s. Starship will begin to ascent, engine cutoff, coast phase, and Starship entry. They're going to drop it in the middle of the Pacific Ocean again. So, both the booster and the ship. So both of them they're going to simulate a landing on the water, but they're not going to recover either of them. So if anybody's in the Gulf and has a nice boat, let's go find us some Starship pieces. And you think I'm kidding. And then after, here's kind of our flight schedule, and we'll get that. We'll get that as we get closer. So again, no official date, but mid-November is what we're hearing from SpaceX, and they seem pretty enthusiastic about it. So here's tonight's mission. SpaceX is launching a 23 Starlink satellite payload to low Earth orbit from SLC 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Like I said, they didn't even entertain an earlier attempt window that they had opened. They must like this one better. It's night. It looks cooler. I'm okay with it. Oh, if you've never seen one, I highly recommend a launch. highly recommend one because they're unbelievable. Especially so when we get into the bigger rockets like the New Glenn, like Artemis, like or the SLS, whatever they want to call it, and ones like the Starship, like it's going to be a truly incredible experience. And I encourage anyone that's even remotely on the fence to give it a go and give it an attempt to catch one. You're in Australia, right? Just go the Kiwis Rocket Labs. They're launching their little guys off the coast over there. So you might be able to catch one of them. They've been on a pretty upbeat cadence. But this is the 18th flight for this first stage booster supporting this mission, which previously launched Crew Demo 2. I was at that one. NSS 11, CRS 21, Transporter 1, Transporter 3, and 12 Starlink missions. So, like I said, we usually get the 6, 7, sometimes 8, where people are paying for it. And towards the end of that, it's going to be heavily discounted. After you get to this 8, that seems to be the cutoff. And then they're all used for Starlink missions until they're flight proven. So, oh, I thought you were in, my apologies. I thought you were in Aussie land, but, following stage step, the first stage will land on A Shortfall of Gravitas, which will be stationed in the Atlantic. So, Crew Demo 2. So, when Florida was, and this is how I know that Florida closed, we were literally the third car into Florida after it reopened after COOF. There was the whole barrier. We heard it was going to be lifted. We waited, and we got in third car. So, remember the photo of the frog when that rocket launched? Who? No, I don't know that I do. Huh. Uh, Now I'm gonna have to think about it. I get easily distracted if you're new here. So Crew Demo 2, that was the first manned mission back from after the space shuttle program was canceled. And it was the first launch from American soil. It was highly anticipated, Bob and Doug. And we were sitting here with my wife and my kids, and I was watching it on television or watching it on the internet, and it scrubbed. And I'm like, huh, that's cool. And NASA has a habit of scrubbing things. Like that's not terribly uncommon for NASA to scrub a launch. But I'm like, oh shit, it scrubbed. And I'm hearing the launch opportunities, and it was a Thursday. And it was Tuesday that day, and the next opportunity was on Thursday. They also had one on Friday. And I told my wife, I live in Southeast Michigan, by the way. I told my wife, oh, let's drive down to Florida and take in this launch. And she started to look at me like I was crazy. And then I said, we can go hang out on the beach. And she was sold. So we got in the car, we drove nonstop, made it to Florida. And I got to see the historic launch of the Demo 2 mission. Hey, Shani. Hey, what's up, Patrick? Yeah, it was due to weather. And, but again, it's not uncommon for NASA to delay launches. So I got really lucky. I got to see it in person. It was a lot of fun. All the normal viewing spots were still shut down because I've been there a couple times, and I know generally where to go. And we had to find a new spot, so we went down to, I don't remember where we went, but had I known the great Steve Gosney at that time or the great Scad, I would have just bothered them, but I didn't. So let's see. Hey, what's up, Brad guy?
Hey, how's it going?
I thought I sent you one. You should have said something. So that's kind of where we're at. Let's see this one come back in. We have a normal mission profile. T-minus 38. Go for prop load. We're already well within prop load. We're right in this general vicinity. After Falcon 9 begins engine chill prior to launch, we'll start seeing strong back retract, and we're somewhere right in between these two where command flight computer begins final pre-launch checks. There's a couple things like ground closeouts, things like that we'll be able to check in on, and just like that, SpaceX is up. So,
oh, we're going Zoom.
Strong back lower started.
Oh yeah, we're doing Zoom. I'm excited about the announcement of the Starship. Well, I appreciate that now. I didn't know you back then. Well, go get some more in 5 minutes. Well, like 12 minutes. So we got that strong back. That strong back retracts just a little bit. That strong back takes it from horizontal to vertical. So it rolls out horizontally. Strong back lifts it up, places it in position, and allows it to be ready for launch. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. SpaceX be erect, y'all. Yes.
So are we at perfect up and down, or are we slightly at an angle?
We are pretty close to perfect up and down. It could be off by a fraction of a degree, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, we're up and down. So, yeah, Patrick, don't drive then. Order DoorDash or something.
Yeah, no, don't drive, especially while drinking. Only text while driving. No, don't do that either. That's
exactly.
a bad idea.
We don't offer advice here.
Don't do what I do. Don't be an idiot.
Right. So with that, don't be an idiot. We should be getting a ground closeout pretty quick here, and that's them closing out and purging the lines, feeding
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
There is our LOX load, almost perfect. So we'll call it that LOX load. Again, my favorite, the puffy stuff. What if you're just naturally R-rated? That happens from time to time.
Repress it.
Yeah. We'll start seeing that. I call it puffy stuff. It's great. It's nice. It's fluffy. It's beautiful. That is the super cooled liquid oxygen interacting with the very warm and very humid Florida air. Perfectly normal. We'll start seeing it once it starts pressurizing vents. So that will be around that 1 minute mark. We should be getting closeouts since they
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
There is stage 2 LOX load complete. So now we'll get ground closeouts, and then you'll see pressurization, and then we'll see that really pick up. So, you know, it's really interesting when they bring the drone ship back to port. It's also vertical. Yeah. Yep. So,
how do they keep it from tipping over on the drone ship?
They basically lock the legs into the drone ship. So they design in the legs to put basically really big clamps on them to lock them into the drone ship. There's our ground gas closeouts. And speaking of ground gas closeouts, and our Chris Chicken, what's up, buddy?
Cluck, cluck.
Motherfuckers.
So, I wasn't sure if you were far enough in where I could use that.
I don't care. So here's that pressurization. We'll see that puffy pick up in about 5 seconds. It will also be on internal power and internal computing. Everything will be handled by the rocket from this point forward. So, again, humans have the ability to scrub or change certain things, but it is autonomous until it hits the drone ship. So,
LD, go for launch.
Good to see you too, Dan.
We are go for launch. Good call out, go for launch. So, we're about T-minus 30 seconds. Yeah, max Q is obviously maximum aerodynamic pressure on the rocket. That's
T-minus 30
seconds. If we get to that punch through max Q, then everything's good. So,
It's clucking good to see you.
15 seconds.
There's an airplane. Is it a WV-57?
T minus 10,
Let me
9,
see.
8, 7, 6,
Make big rocket go now.
4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
Go
Falcon,
SpaceX. Go
Starlink.
Falcon 9.
Go Burr.
Vehicle
That's
is
gorgeous.
pitching
Go what's
downrange.
left of humanity.
M1D propulsion is nominal.
God, that is such a bright light.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's... Oh. Just a rumble.
Hi, Mystic.
Oh, that's the U.S. military.
Power telemetry
SCAD.
nominal.
It's a P8, so they must have been okay with the incursion.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
And we got a supersonic call out. We're coming up to max Q. They actually throttled down the engines, all 9 Merlin engines, to punch through max Q to reduce those stresses
Max
on the
Q.
vehicle. And at this point, we're throttling right back up. So you throttle down just to punch through to reduce those stresses at that point, and then we're gonna throttle right back up and finish this off. So, and again, key point once we get into those
MVAC
higher
started.
altitudes. So one of the signs is we have the MVAC chill. The second sign is you see the flames start puffing. That's because it doesn't have as much atmospheric resistance to it. So the flame's not being held in and not being confined anymore with the same amount of pressure. So it's going to start puffing, and we'll start seeing that plume go out further and further. So, yeah, military ops. So it wasn't a range violation. So there we see that gas plume. It's much wider.
Kind of looks like a jellyfish.
Mm-hmm. And main engine cutoff in 3, 2, 1 now.
Miko. Stage separation confirmed.
Great stage set. We'll start seeing that right side. That's the MVAC engine. And good MVAC. So now what's going to be happening is on the left side, we're going to have that first stage that will return to Earth. That second stage will carry the payload, which is the 23 Starlink satellites, to its final orbit. So this is an orbital insertion burn.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
Oh, it's so great.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And we have a good fairing set. So now the payload is exposed to the vacuum of space, which is those Starlink satellites.
Little Rocket Man, Little Rocket Man, Little Rocket Man, Little Rocket Man.
I turned it off repeat, and it's still repeated. Or loop, whatever.
So when it comes to max Q, is it throttling down to reduce acceleration, or is it reducing velocity? Because
It's reducing kind of a little bit of both. So it's reducing the pressure and stresses on the vehicle through acceleration and the velocity. So it doesn't pick up too much velocity too quickly, because the atmosphere is just thick enough where it could be catastrophic if they were to just full throttle punch all the way straight through. If that makes sense. So
yeah.
one of the most beautiful things in spaceflight. Go Russia, go. So now we're just waiting for it. This should burn It's going to burn for about 4 minutes on our right side. On the left side is the re-entry. So we're in the middle of that spin maneuver. So it's going to kind of do this flip. It's going to reorient, start coming back towards Earth. We'll see it pick up speed while losing altitude. And that's because it's falling back towards Earth. So it's reached its apex. It's coming
Both
back down.
vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
And a good nominal trajectory call out. We'll start seeing that first stage start coming back to Earth quickly. Then we'll get the entry burn, which will slow it down. There'll be a gap of about anywhere 10 to 30 seconds, depending on their initial trajectory. And then we'll start seeing that speed bleed right off because it will start encountering atmosphere. And that altitude will pick up. So that's kind of what we're looking at on the left side. And then it will start autonomously communicating with the drone ship, A Shortfall of Gravitas. And those big grid fins will start directing it autonomously, communicating only with the drone ship to land. And those grid fins are massive. Just get that in while we're kind of in a doldrum spot here. That's the great Mighty Mate's hand right there. Funny part is I was on Hayden's shoulders during this picture.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
See, at that point, why didn't you just use Hayden's hands? They're like twice the size of yours.
He wanted it to be him, and let's face it, he's like, oh fuck.
I wanted to touch the rocket. You know this. So now we're starting to see that entry burn. We're starting to see that speed bleed off.
Stage 1, entry burn shut down.
And then,
Stage 2.
so we've shut it down. And again, we're seeing that speed pick up because there's no longer anything slowing it down. We'll start seeing that speed bleed off pretty quickly as we start encountering atmosphere. And there it goes. That's accurate. That's accurate. 100% accurate. About 2 meters.
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
And you see that speed bleeding right back off. And then, oh, we got a telemetry. There we go.
Nope.
Ruh-roh.
We're good.
Stage 1 is transonic.
So now it's transonic. It went back underneath that speed. So now we're starting to see it come down. We'll see one more landing burn. And that will slow it down. 2 landed on the drone ship. Also, you'll see the landing legs deploy. When the landing legs deploy, they actually make sonic booms themselves. So you have re-entry of the vehicle, and then you have the sonic booms of the landing legs, which is pretty cool.
No shit. Interesting.
Yep.
Dance, this is A Shortfall of Gravitas, is the
Stage
drone
2,
ship.
terminal guidance.
What just fell off the second stage?
Ice, probably. I
Stage
didn't see
1,
it, but I would
landing
assume
burn
it's
startup.
ice.
Ooh.
And
Oh, there we go. Ooh, pretty.
Stage 1, landing legs deployed.
Oh,
every fucking time.
Nicely
Oh.
done.
Oh, it's so
beautiful.
beautiful.
Oh, they're off center.
Landing confirmed.
Hey.
I know, it's like
Water.
it's like threading a needle from like a mile away. I know.
So now we have
There you go.
good nominal trajectories. Second engine cutoff. We're going to be in coast stage until the next engine firing to put them in their final orbit, and then they'll be released at about 1 hour and 38 minutes. So
Nominal
yep.
orbit insertion.
And nominal orbit insertion. So another great flight by SpaceX.
So how much does it actually cost them to fake all this?
It would cost a hell of a lot more to fake it than it would be worth.
I just figured he's making such a loss on Twitter that, you know, there's got to be a tax write-off somewhere.
Well, Starlink just today actually reached a where they're bringing in as much as they're paying out. So, I forget
Oh,
how it's
awesome.
called.
They
Sorry,
broke even.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty cool.
But to answer, it's
I need about $3.50.
What's $3.50?
$3.50.
$3.50.
Tree fitty.
all right. So, yeah, no, another great flight by SpaceX. I forget how many we're at. I can probably look, but we're north of 200 consecutive. So, Falcon 9.
Is it wrong that I'm kind of waiting for one?
We'll get one eventually. So,
Wait for
200.
what?
Another mistake.
Oh.
267 launches, 225 landings, and 200 reflown boosters.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fast Group. I'll put a voice changer on if it makes you feel better.
Hang on, I'm looking at something. This is a pretty cool video. This is one that they put together, and why not? Well, who doesn't like rocket launchers?
Australia's on the other side of the flat Earth. If an object is flat, there's two sides. Duh.
You're flat Earth. There is a SCAD. There's another. I'm looking. There's a Falcon 9 in mid-December. That is a United States Space Force, so it's going to be. That might be a great one for you to help me out with the video, because that's one that we might not be able to see because of the mission profile. So
Space Force.
yes, United States Space Force.
For the longest time, I actually thought that was just a meme. But then I found out it was real, and then I was like, crap. Now I kind of gotta.
Trump made Space Force.
I want it.
How much money do they save reusing these rockets? A lot.
So much money.
A lot. So
We may even have a Space Force.
you do. So SpaceX's cost per kilo is about $2,500 per kilo of to low Earth. And that's with the reusable rocket. And then just want to be accurate, so so cost per kilogram for ULA is about, they have several different rockets, but it's about 18,000. So cost per kilogram for United Launch Alliance is $18,000 per kilogram launched. Cost for SpaceX is around $2,500 per kilogram.
Hold
So
up.
that's your difference.
So when you die, do you want us to shoot your ashes up into space for $2,500?
Yes, please.
No, we've already discussed it.
I don't want you to pay SpaceX, so.
Yeah, okay. Guess I'll have to do it myself.
Please. I want you to go up with my ashes, though.
Gosh, that'd be so difficult. Because I want to be able to come back down.
It's fine. I'll just use a catapult, and what comes up must come down.
We could try that. So this is kind of this is like their promo video, and I think it's good because it shows some different angles that we don't see on a normal launch. So
3, 2,
it's like a condensed
1.
version. So, and I'm going to pause the shit out of it. So that's the deluge. That's kind of the system, but to a much grander scale that they're going to be using on the Starship. And that is, so that's the deluge to suppress the sound and all that kind of stuff. So
Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
That is such a pretty blue.
Oh, it's so sexy.
That actually is
That's,
really beautiful.
That is pure rocket grade kerosene burning with the help of liquid oxygen. That's what you get.
A lot of CO2 and water coming off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
I would happily go to space any day of any week. So you look at look at the flame on the back of this rocket. So it's 2.5 times the length of the rocket. This white part is your rocket. This red part is obviously your flame. You're 2.5 to 3 times the flame.
Stop being
of
racist
that.
to the rocket.
Well, he can't help it that he's small.
There's 2 layers in that flame.
Stage 1 prop is nominal.
And
Oh,
then
that's
that.
gorgeous.
So that's again when we're done encountering that heavy atmosphere, and we can see that poof of just it's gorgeous. That would be. Yep. Oh, I'd go in a heartbeat.
Stage 1 entry startup.
So that's what it looks like. There's that kind of ring effect, and that's just everything coming back together. Some of the things that it does look really, really cool.
Wait, is that the re-entry? Is that what we're seeing? The plasma for re-entry?
Yeah. So
Holy
Yep.
crap.
with you also have the actual rocket. So you have the entry burn of the Merlin engine. So, Patrick, on what's going to start on Saturday now, starting tomorrow, we're actually doing reliving of the Apollo 11, and then I was going to kind of dance around different ones, explain the F1, that kind of thing. So we're doing that Saturday. Our first one was on Science Tuesday, which was not last week, but the week before. But I'm trying to transition into Saturday because then Bri can be here and hang out with me and help me out with it. So, but yeah, the Apollo program's great.
Stage 1 is transonic. Stage 1 land.
So you see all that green flame and all that flame. So you're encountering, 1, the atmosphere, 2, you're encountering that enormous amount of pressure and speed of that air pressing against that rocket engine, and it still has the power. It can still pack that much of a punch to not only jet out, but also to slow down this rocket. It's insane. It's insane how much power is in a rocket.
Anywhere to
Where's
startup.
the extra fire coming from? Is that just backflow, kind of, from it falling?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's essentially just burning the organic parts, different kind of shielding. It's some backflow. It's some coking from the fuel, the RP1, the kerosene.
Mm-hmm.
So just burning whatever the hell's in front of it. So, because there is a back, all that pressure and air is creating quite a backblast, and that's why every time you see it on the drone ship, it looks like it's on fire, because it is.
Stage 1 landing leg deploying.
Because it is.
Falcon 9 has landed.
So why did they start using the barges instead of the landing pads? Is it just because it's in the middle of nowhere and it's easier to recover, or...?
NASA doesn't like them landing, so on...
Who gives a fuck what NASA want? Those butt-backwards assholes are like 50 years in the past. Who gives a shit what they want?
I completely agree, but they are landing on NASA's facilities, so they're landing on Kennedy Space Center. So NASA gets a lot of say in what's going on. I think that it is legitimately PR based that they're landing in the Falcon Heavy, the dual boosters. But yeah, NASA wouldn't let them land a singular booster on land for forever. So
So it literally has to be in like international waters for them to land it.
well, it's got to be far enough out where it's not a harm to a harm to the space systems. And I get it. So brand new company now where you have 200
Successful.
landings under your belt.
Yeah.
I think it's a little ridiculous. But at the beginning, I can almost understand it because there's so much.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
infrastructure
When they're unproven, when they've got a reputation to create, when they're effectively nobody, that's fine. But I mean, given how badly they are showing NASA that they have their heads up their asses now, it's like, why would you not just get out of the way?
Right. They won't.
Didn't also one of the first ones blow up, like after it landed?
Several of the first attempts did explode.
Well, it's not like NASA has a great track record there either, so...
Oh yeah, no, we're well aware. But, no, like, I remember seeing a video, it was like, oh yeah, perfect landing, and then boom, I was like, what the hell?
Elon put out the best Twitter video ever of the... hang on, let me see if I can find it. Because they did. They had several. Oh yeah, here we go. How not to land an orbital rocket booster. This is from Elon himself.
Jesus, this is great.
Okay, so he's taking the piss, that's good.
Yep. That came from.
It's rapid unscheduled disassembly.
Yeah. They're RUDs. I did want to address a couple things too. They also have saved some Delta V, and they are heavier payloads, as well as it's more efficient to land the booster downrange. Both of those are true. However, SpaceX heavily wanted to land them back on land to avoid the cost and interaction with drone ships, and they've kind of got used to it at this point. But NASA was the original reason why they wouldn't land them back on the Cape. So all those things are true, but could be accounted for. So they did ask essentially in the beginning and were denied by NASA. So.
I like how just a small takeover is enough for it to rapidly disassemble itself.
Uh-oh.
Do not.
Beautiful. There's a little bit of bounce to that one.
Yeah, that one came in a little hot.
Just not hot enough to blow up. So. So yeah. Program's come a long way. We're over 200 launches. I mean, their cadence is ridiculous at this point. I'm excited for the next set. You never win if you don't try it, right? And you learn more from failure than you do it from success. Is another one of Elon's quotes. If you learn from your failure, that's the biggest point. So he's doing a great
Experience
job.
is the name we give our mistakes, provided we learn from them.
Yep. You never lose if you don't try either. Exactly. Well, you gotta take chances. You gotta go out and do things that's never been done before. And when people tell you you can't or you're not going to be able to, you tell them to go fuck themselves. So, and that is advice. That is advice. So, but yeah, gentlemen, I think that's going to be it for me. Did you guys have any questions?
What was the payload this time around?
23 V2 Starlink satellites. So
Oh, okay, all right.
I believe it's 623. So it's just more of their initial constellation of the satellites. I can actually check. They actually don't even say what shell it is anymore. Dicks.
Well, there's so many, they probably lost count.
Yeah, it's I believe it's the 6 series. Because it's 1 hour and 5 minutes to deploy. So
Oh, AP, that's bad. And too soon.
oh no.
Or according to Alec, you hit every shot that you don't intend to take.
But all right, well, if that's all for everyone, that's going to be it for me. I hope everybody has an awesome evening. Thanks for joining us. It's fun as always. It never gets old. Never gets old. They do a great and fantastic job. So with that, I am signing off for the evening. Y'all have a good night, and I will talk to you soon.